My name is Melissa Boston. I am the CEO for Akana and super fired up and excited about this next chapter for us. We've been involved in this business for now going on 6 years. And that's an exciting fact. If you've ever been in an industry like this, you know the significance of that. We know that most businesses fail their first year. Within 5 years, we know that 98% of businesses have failed. We've been moving along at record speed, but just so excited because this next chapter really involves us being focused on the health of our community, creating these blue zones and focusing in on our blood types. If you want to go ahead and give a quick shout out, I know this is the battle of the blood type season. And so if you do know your blood type, you can go ahead and represent in the comments. I'm a blood type A, I'm the agrarian, okay? I'm supposed to be the vegetable eater. Didn't know that my whole life. Almost died twice, once at the age of 19. I was in emergency surgery, 50% chance of living or dying. The second experience I had with a near-death experience was at the age of 39, just before turning 40, about 11 years ago. And but no one told me back then that you're a blood type A. You're supposed to eat vegetables. So I had grown up eating the typical American diet, a lot of fried chicken, a lot of the beef and the pork ribs. And unfortunately, my digestive tract couldn't handle that. And so I was literally in this crisis state, but it took me being now when I turned 47, about 4 years ago, learning about this awesome program and how eating for your blood type can significantly change your life. And so fortunately, I was able to start eating for my blood type, cutting out all that animal meat and just the significance in my life. And not just my life, but my family's life. My son, who's now 32, he's got 2 kids, and I know their blood type. I know his blood type, his wife's blood type. And as a family, we're now eating according to our blood type. My son was able to reduce polyps that were in his colon. Here he is at the tender age of 32 with polyps in his colon, was able to eliminate that. His wife, who was suffering from PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, was dealing with acne and just a lot of uncomfortable side effects from that. But once we learned our blood type, we start eating accordingly. Our family dynamics have changed. And so we're just super excited to share this with the world because we know so many people are suffering in silence. And we want you to have this information we learned so that you can take it back to your family and truly change your life to include generational health, something we can pass on for generations to come. And so without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen so that we can learn a little bit more about what this whole program is and what it entails. So one moment real quick while I share my screen here. Let me find it here. Okay, great. So super exciting because again, not only do I have this awesome presentation, but I have the pleasure of being joined by Dr. Betty Guy Smith. And so you're going to learn a little bit about this from our naturopath as well. And so again, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are Akana. Akana, for those of you who don't know, it actually means in the hands of God. How powerful is that? And when we look at the problem here in the United States, we say chewicide. We're digging our grave with our fork, okay? We know there's this original diet. And that's the diet when we were eating fruits and vegetables in the beginning before we had stoves and all this mass production of food. But we have this new diet, this highly processed diet, where we have fast food at every single corner. And unfortunately, it's put us in a situation where we have just given birth to the first generation of children who they've already predicted will have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. That has never happened in the history of humanity. And we want to be the change makers and actually help reverse that. We know there's a silent killer. If we go back to 2020 and just look at the facts, okay, 700,000 people lost their life due to heart disease. When I learned that heart disease was 90% preventable, what it made me realize is that 630,000 people died in that year that really didn't have to die. We know that about 1 in 5 heart attacks are silent. That means you had a heart attack and you didn't even know it, but the damage is already done. And we also know that for many people, the first sign of heart disease is death. And so there's an alarming trend that's happening here in the US And that's with our kids. We see that between the age of 14 and 19, they're now showing a shocking amount of blocked arteries. In fact, 40% blocked arteries in that tender age group. In fact, if you are on the phone right now on this line, and if you are over the age of 45, there's something very significant you need to know if you are African American. And what it is that we are now, as African Americans who are in that risk factor, more than twice as likely to die from heart disease. And that simply means we are looking sometimes like the picture of health, where people don't know what's happening below the cell, but you're walking around with blocked arteries, things that can lead to either heart attack or stroke. If you're like me, I have family members, I can remember my cousin Rodney, very young, very fit, in his 40s, looked like the picture of health, but he had a stroke, a massive stroke that caused massive organ failure. And then he died, and he was at the tender age of 46 years young. And so we want to make sure that we educate our community, we educate our kids, our grandkids, so they recognize that we do not have to die prematurely if we understand some of these risk factors. Because again, just because someone looks good on the outside doesn't mean there's something brewing within those cells. So we have a saying that's called what the cell is going on, what's happening below the surface, beneath those cells. That's critical for us to understand. And so what we do is we actually address the top 5 health-related problems that are impacting communities everywhere, especially in our community here in the United States, okay? And so one of those factors is, do you know your blood type? When we do these events, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's live in person, we recognize there's a significant portion of the audience who simply just doesn't know their blood type. But do you know that your blood type is a more reliable measure of your identity than race, culture, or geography? It's a genetic blueprint for who you are and a guide to how you can live most healthfully. And so what we do is we're committed to helping over 1 million people learn their blood type within the next 18 months. And so what the science has recognized is there's actually 4 distinct blood types. It started off actually as O blood. So O is the original, it's the oldest blood. But let's look at A blood, B blood, O blood, and AB. And these blood types are powerful genetic fingerprints that identifies us surely as our DNA. And if you want to look at each blood type specifically, you can look at the A's, and we call our A's the agrarians. And so these are individuals who traditionally through society have been focused by blood type, right? This is just by nature, where your instincts want you to farm and have livestock. Even though we didn't often slaughter the livestock, we would eat the byproducts, whether it's the milk or the cheese or the eggs. But what this did is led to stable communities. We are naturally inventive and sleepless. As the first immigrants, we adapted to an agrarian diet and lifestyle, developing cooperative personalities to thrive in a crowded, society, okay? And so B stands for balance, developed as early humans migrated north into colder climates, into harsher regions like Pakistan and India. And so these assimilators adopted to new climates and diverse populations, embodying nature's efforts to balance the mind's tensions with the immune system's demands. And then O stands for old, okay? Because it's the oldest blood type. It's the original. We say it's the Moses, right? Originated in Africa and migrating to Europe and Asia in search of game. These early humans were hunters and gatherers, top survivors in the food chain with strong and fierce immune systems ready to destroy any threat, whether friend or foe. And then, of course, our newest blood, and we have this group as the ABs, which actually stands for modern, okay? Rare and found in less than 5% of the population. It emerged from the intermingling of the type A Caucasians with the type B Mongolians as the newest blood type. It symbolizes modern life, complex and unsettled. It is the delicate offspring of a rare union between the tolerant type A and the once barbaric yet balanced type B. And so let's look now at some of the science behind exactly how this works, because we have a very sophisticated immune system. And this immune system is constantly working to identify something that's entering the body. Is it a friend of the body? Is it a foe? And so one of these methods, it's actually a group of markers that are called antigens, okay? And so these antigens are actually located at the end of our cells in our bodies. And one of the most powerful antigens in the human body is the one that actually determines your blood type, because it's your blood type that's the key to your body's entire immune system. It controls the influence of viruses and bacteria, infections and chemicals and stress. And it's the assortment of invaders, right? And these conditions that could compromise our immune system. So it's critical you recognize your blood type so that you can eat and not trigger your immune system. And so our blood type actually determines how the food that we're consuming on a daily basis will interact with our cells. And so it's your blood type that's the single most important determinant in how your body interacts with the food you eat, and if those foods will cause inflammation, digestive problems, and or weight gain, okay? And so what happens when we eat against our blood type? First and foremost, we actually have and eat these protein lectins that are against our blood type, and they're incompatible with our antigens. Do you know that these protein lectins start targeting organs and bodily systems? They actually start to begin to clot together. We call this agglutinate. It's like they attack your blood cells. They attack your white blood cells, your red blood cells, and they attack them and put them in an area for disposal. And sometimes they're attacking healthy cells. We also look at this as autoimmune. You hear how that's on the rise. So what we're doing is we're creating these highly carcinogenic substances in our body when we regularly consume foods that are high in these lectins or animal proteins. So you're probably thinking, I know for me, I have a grandfather who's 96 years young, okay? He still drives his car. He actually drives almost every day that he's healthy to do it, right? There's been a few days he was down, but when he's healthy, he drives and visits my grandmother at her gravesite. She died at 91. So he's a blood type B, she's a blood type A. And all his life, in the beginning, he ate pretty healthy from the garden because that's how our grandparents were raised. But he stops by McDonald's regularly, right? Often eating against his blood type, but yet he's 96. And so here's the reality. When we eat foods that are against our blood type, fortunately, we have an immune system, okay? And we have the ability for us to slough off most of the bad effects. So 95% of those bad side effects from eating against our blood type actually get sloughed off by the immune system. But then there's 5% that are actually filtered into the bloodstream, where they're reacting and destroying red and white blood cells. As healthy as my grandfather is right now, he's had his own battles with cancer. He's had his own battles throughout history. And so the reality is we can be born with great genetics, but if we keep eating against our blood type, we're going to still find ourselves under attack, okay? There's consequences to eating against your blood type. And one of them is agglutination. This is where there's a clumping of these bacteria and red cells, and when they're held together by what they call antibodies, these are also called agglutinins. And so what we need to do is learn our blood type. If you do not know your blood type, you want to make sure that within the next 24 to 48 hours, you test your blood, learn your blood type. We have blood type kits available right on our website, okay? Because we need to be the change makers in our family. If your family has faced generational issues, where there's diabetes, heart disease, we have to be the ones to decide to break the generational curse. Understand the power is in our hands. There's so many times you hear about families where many of them were wiped out in their 50s and 60s. I mean, that is just scary when you think about it, but many times we just didn't know it was as simple as the food we're eating. Because if they give you the wrong blood, when they donate blood and now that you have to have an infusion, a transfusion, it can kill you. So if you're eating the wrong food, just know it can also be killing you. And so here's a sample of some of the foods we should avoid based on our blood type. Remember, one person's food is another person's poison. And if you're blood type A, you might look at that and think, wow, tomatoes and bananas and potatoes. Yes, these actually have plant proteins, right? That are in those that actually aren't good for your blood type. And then things that may be obvious, like red meat and lamb chops, okay? But then look at the B bloods. 19% of African Americans are blood type B. But do you know that chicken is detrimental to a blood type B and often leads to a lot of this autoimmune issues we're seeing in our B blood brothers and sisters? With our O bloods, it's catfish, okay? It's the white wine. So if you love Moscato and you are a blood type O, you want to switch over to red wine. And every blood type outside of AB should get rid of the cashews, okay? And then look at the AB bloods, right? So you can see that with every single blood type, there's something we should avoid. Now, there was a book that was released in 1996, and this book is Eat Right for Your Type, and it's by Dr. Peter J. D'Adamo. And so you're probably wondering, wow, this book was released in 1996. I mean, think about how many years ago. I mean, that's almost 30 years ago. So why are you just learning that food can impact your blood based on your blood types, okay? Well, here's the reality. We know that if it isn't taught in medical school, if it isn't a part of what makes Big Pharma billions of dollars, they don't care to explain this to you because our pain is their profit. They're creating trillion-dollar industries off our pain. Look at what's happening with diabetes and dialysis centers, and look at what they're doing specifically in our community. We are in Chicago. In Chicago, we are now the home of one of the first 4-story dialysis centers, guys. What they realize, African Americans are willing to overconsume animal protein. We're willing to eat those fast foods, allow our kids to eat those fast foods repeatedly, multiple times a week. And as a result of that, we have now created an epidemic of diabetes. So we must bring this awareness to our family. Know that for the big businesses, they don't care about you. They don't care about your family. For them, it's all about profits over people. Look at what they did with cigarettes. I don't know if you remember when cigarettes were glamorized, right? When they actually had doctors on commercials telling you to smoke cigarettes because it would help calm you down, make you feel better, make you more glamorous. And now we know the consequences of that. And how many people we buried because of lung cancer due to cigarettes, okay? And then we think about trans fats. And here in this country, I don't know if you're like me, but I can remember when all of our family was eating imperial margarine. It was everywhere. They told us it was better than butter. And now imperial margarine and all the margarine is outlawed. It is banned in this country because it produces trans fats. What's the safe amount of trans fats? None, which means these trans fats lodge in our arteries and cause the strokes and the heart attacks. And so it's up to us to be educated consumers, to do our own research so that we can understand the impact of some of what they put out there as mainstream. And then we think about the 5G cell phones. And if you look at it, a lot of these 5G towers, they're strategically placing in certain neighborhoods who are not going to protest. There are some communities who will not allow these 5G towers. They're educated about them and they're willing to go out and speak their piece. When we don't speak our piece, they put them in our communities. And as a result of that, we have now given birth to this new condition called type 3 diabetes, where children are getting diabetes because of all this radiation and the 5G towers. And then, of course, there's the genetically modified organisms. They promoted this as a way to feed the planet. We can just make our own food in the lab. But think about it. We have a magnificent creator. Okay, think about the power and the supernatural ability of our creator. And now we have men and women in a lab trying to recreate food that's deficient. And now it's causing cancer. It's causing epidemics of disease. But yet we're consuming these genetically modified foods every day. and not to mention milk, because milk here in the US is promoted as something that does a body good. But we know that dairy creates the mucus, inflammation. We know that it creates an acidic environment. And when we have an acidic environment, cancer thrives. Do you know that other countries who have less issues and more health do not drink nearly as much milk as we drink? We drink more milk than any other country, but we have the highest numbers of osteoarthritis and cancer rates. And so we have to start looking at other countries, because there are some countries that actually adhere to the blood type diet. There are some countries that when the book Eat Right for Your Blood Type was first introduced, they embraced the book. And do you know one of the first countries to embrace this book was Japan? And when I show you the stats with Japan, it's going to blow your mind, because here in the United States, we debunked it. I was one of those people. I did my research and I'm like, no, just eat healthy. It's not about your blood type, because that's what all the mainstream doctors were saying here in the United States. But once I had a chance to do my own research and now have so many thousands of people start changing their diet and getting these amazing results, we realize they just don't want us to know the truth here in the United States, because the facts don't lie. Okay, look at life expectancy. Look at Japan, where they adhere to principles of the blood type, and they on average live to be 84.6 years young. Here in the United States, we're losing the war. We pay a death tax for living here in this country, because on average, we die at 76 years young. But if you are African American, just know that our stats are even more grim, because we pay a death tax for being African American, okay? And that death tax is the fact that we die on average at 71.8 years. But here's the good news. We don't have to accept any of this. We can choose to take our future and our family into our own hands. If other communities are living longer and stronger, why can't we do the exact same? Because there's so much evidence. And if you go talk to the countless people that have started on our program, whether they're doing the 7-day cleanse, the 21-day cleanse, but they're learning their blood type, they're eating for their blood type, and as a result, they're experiencing things they've never experienced before in life, where their health is actually returning to a state of normal. And so one of the things I'm so passionate about, it's the testimonials, it's the documentation, it's how people have literally adhered to a lifestyle that's not only saving their life, changing their life, but look at physically what's happening, where the gut issues are going away. You know, we're developing flat bellies, okay, and living our best life. So if you're ready to drop what they're telling us, right, so that we can gain our health, we have something so special for you. And what I love is when I see stories like Mary Graham, who partnered with us as a customer. She's not a distributor, but she's been at this since 2021. And do you know that she's lost more than 9 inches off of her waist, and just how her life has transformed? And you can do the exact same. And one of the things she talks about is she finally decided to show up for herself. You know, care for your body. It's the only place you have to live. And so when you follow the blood type diet, we can protect ourselves from common viruses and infections. We can take a stand against life-threatening disease. We can achieve our ideal weight, slow the process of aging. We can cleanse our body of toxins and unhealthy fats. And so now that you've learned about the blood type principles, just know when we address those 5 areas, there's 4 other areas we have to pay attention to. And one of them is oxidation. When you think about oxidation, it makes me think about a banana. When you peel back a banana, if you don't eat it right away, it starts to turn brown and black, right? It starts to decay. Unfortunately, they're putting chemicals in some of our foods, like an apple. You can eat an apple and let it sit on your counter for 2 weeks sometimes, and it doesn't decay. But that's unnatural. That's against what God created, okay? But if we eat a real apple or a real banana, it's going to decay. That's just the process of how the body works when we're exposed to high levels of oxidation, okay? But here's the good news. We've been blessed with all these phytonutrients, with these plants and these fruits that are given to us. And these plants and fruits are our medicines. They're allowing our bodies to heal and to actually reduce cancer rates. And so, but the reality is many people spend a lifetime eating processed food, eating fake food. They're not eating the broccoli. They're not eating the celery. And so we've got to learn that there's so much research behind these phytonutrients because these allow us to disable those cancer-causing substances. And there's another nutrient that we're so deficient on. We say in our company, we have a fat crisis here in the United States. And we're not talking about obesity because skinny people also are under this same crisis. When I say we're under a fat crisis, there's something called omega fatty acids. And they're not only omega, they're called essential fatty acids. When something's called essential, it means your body cannot make it. If your body cannot make it, that means the only way you're going to get this is if you consume it, okay? So when you look at omega-3, when you look at omega-6, there's also something known as omega-7 and 9. The reality is we're eating way too much omega-6. Omega-6 is what we call the fatty acid that's a little unhealthy. Why do we need, as something essential, something unhealthy? Because the unhealthy fatty acid helps us to create inflammation. So if you have a cut, your body needs to heal, and the inflammation process is what makes it heal. But here's the challenge. We're eating way too much omega-6. And as a result of that, we're dealing with chronic inflammation. This inflammation is leading to pain. It's leading to so many conditions within our body. And so now that we're eating way too much omega-6, we need to eat what? Omega-3, which is an essential fatty acid. That's the good fat, okay? When you go get your cholesterol and they're looking at your good cholesterol, your bad cholesterol, most people have what? Way too much bad cholesterol and not enough good cholesterol. So your good fats come from your almonds, they come from your walnuts, they come from your avocados, your olive oils, right? There's so many good fats from your sardines and your salmon. And when we eat good fat, do you know that it actually slows the progression of heart disease, cognitive decline? It helps to balance out our inflammation. It helps along with so many other issues like metabolic. So we actually start to lose weight when we eat enough good fat. So that's kind of ironic. Eating good fat helps us to cut fat from our body, our immune function, our bone health. And there's a fourth factor that we need to pay attention to, and that's our metabolic health. That's our gut health. Know that 70% of your immune system is within your gut. There's something known as a microbiome. We need our fiber. We need our prebiotic. We need our probiotic. We need to detoxify. I want you to really think about it. When I talked about the oil, we always say we need an oil change. We need to change out the bad, put in the good. But how we do that is also through the process of detoxification, okay? We've got to learn to invest in that. It's such a phenomenal part of how we heal our body. And the fifth thing is we have to eliminate parasites. When I first learned about the impact of parasites, it kind of grossed me out. I'm like, oh my God, who wants to learn about parasites? But this is critical because this is impacting our babies. It's impacting our kids. Oftentimes I see people feeding their 2 and 3-year-olds off their own dinner plate. And if your kids are eating the standard American diet, just know they're dealing with parasites at 3 and 4 years old. So imagine by the time we're 50, 60, or 70, we're overloaded with these parasites, guys. And look at what these parasites are doing. They're literally robbing us from our health. Not only are they causing chronic infections, okay, but they did a recent study among autopsies. And as they were looking at these autopsies, what they found is that there's a presence of parasites in our organs, in our brain, our liver, our lungs, even in individuals who they didn't even suspect were infected. And what these findings are suggesting is that parasites can exist in the body without causing any symptoms, We're talking about a silent invasion that gradually impairs organ function over time, even impacting our mental health, anxiety, depression. If you feel sluggish, can't get out of bed, chances are you're dealing with an infestation of parasites. And we have so many examples of people here. I'm going to give you two. One of them, this lady was facing surgery. They were going to remove part of her colon, and she had a blockage. Well, within so many days on our cleanse, she eliminated something in the toilet, and it was pretty disgusting. Guess what she ended up eliminating? It was parasites. Do you know when she went back to the doctor, the blockage was gone, and she did not have to have her colon partially removed. Another example, there was a woman who was dealing with doom and gloom. She thought she was dying. She had the same symptoms her mom had right before her mom passed. She had no zest for life. She was sluggish. She was tired, and she just felt so lethargic. So someone introduced her to one of our cleanse products. She got on the cleanse products. Do you know within 7 days of cleansing, her body eliminated a parasite that was half the size of her arm, or of half her arm, from her elbow to her wrist. It was a large white tapeworm that literally came out of her body that was robbing her of all of her nutrients. Now, you probably ask, well, how did that get in? They don't get in that size. They get in microscopic. But if we're not eliminate them, they grow, and they rob us of our vitamin D. They rob us of our B12, our B6. And before we know it, we're dealing with chronic issues. And so now we want to talk a little bit about the products. Before I do that, I do want to read our disclaimer. Know that these products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The information that I'm sharing herein is for informational purposes only. It's not intended as a substitute for advice from your physician or other healthcare professionals. If you're pregnant, nursing, taking medication, or have medical conditions, please consult your healthcare provider before using any nutritional supplements, and know that individual results will vary. And so let's look at the product that we're super excited to talk about tonight. You know, we have been at this, okay, for almost 6 years, right? We've witnessed success with over 32,000 customers, okay? And we've had products that's targeted very specific issues. Some of them had blood type support, some of them antioxidants, some of them had omega-3, some of them were for the gut, and some of them eliminated parasites. We found this to be something that was great, but for the average person, buying multiple products sometimes wasn't affordable. And as we looked at this, it just gave us a moment where we had clarity. We wanted to bring the first product where you can solve all your problems that relate to those 5 things with one product. And so Flat Belly Fuel, it's that product that we're super excited about. Right now, it's currently trending as our top selling product. You can actually get it on auto ship, where it delivers to your door month after month at a significant discount. And so this is what we call Flat Belly Fuel, where you can break the cycle, you can fuel your future. And it's a delicious tasting meal replacement shake we call Choco Berry Fusion. And we have vanilla coming soon, okay? Within the next couple of months, we will have a vanilla edition, but we're introducing the world's first meal replacement. It's custom formulated for your blood type to help communities build generational health and create their own blue zone. And if you look at this, again, it's targeting those top 5 areas. It's loaded with something called aronia berry. If you've ever been familiar with our noni or acai berry or blueberry or elderberry, those are phenomenal. If you know anything about aronia, it's also awesome. But look at the standard aronia berry and compare it to our aronia berry. I mean, we're talking about something 2.5 times more potent. And why this is so significant is when I shared with you the number 2 area we address is the issue of antioxidants. Sometimes we can't eat enough fruits and vegetables. So what if in this one meal replacement, you can get such a supercharge with fruits and vegetables as far as the antioxidant just through this aronia berry that's in there, okay? Because it's our vision is a world where individuals have access to the nutrition and resources they need to thrive, okay? Leading to healthier, wealthier, and more resilient communities. We aspire to be a catalyst for global change, fostering a future free from the limitations of disease and poverty, where every corner of the globe flourishes. And so our goal is to create not only blue zone communities, but blue zone families, okay? Imagine building a legacy of health for your family where you can see your grandma, your mom, or your sister, living a much healthier life like they do in other parts of the world, where our seniors aren't dependent on all these medications, okay? They're able to walk and not be burdened to a nursing home and refined. They're able to have relationships, right, with their communities and thrive and walk and just have an independence in their later years. And so we want to create not only, a blue zone family, but we will be the first blue zone company. And so it really starts with us also detoxifying. You're going to learn a little bit more in the training about the importance of these bitters, okay? And why we want to consume these bitters, because we have to get these toxins out. We've got to heal our gut. We've got to ensure we alkaline the body. We got to build back our microbiome. And so bitters are just such an excellent way to do that. And so you're going to learn in our training exactly how to incorporate the bitters. You're going to learn more about the yes list, because this is going to be included in some of the packages that you might decide to purchase, where you're going to know what are the medicine foods for your blood type and what you should be consuming on a daily basis. Also, too, we have a couple of options available where you can do what we call a blood type starter kit. It's a great option to get you started, where you can have everything you need, to really kick this off in such a great way and start sharing it with your other family and friends. And so we're super excited because you can get your blood type testing kit, your bitters, your detox meal plan, a sample of our meal replacement, and then also your digital blood type download as well. There's 2 options. If you know your blood type, you can do option 2. If you don't know your blood type, you need to do option number 1. And so also, too, you can have an opportunity to get a test done, because we also recognize that sometimes when you start a program, for many people, they don't know really what were the results. Maybe you lost some weight, you feel better, but what did it really do to impact your body? And so we offer something called the Comprehensive Health Report, so that you can actually see what's going on. And then you can see the before you started the products and after you started the products. And you can check with the person who invited you, but we have so many amazing testimonials of people that started our product and they were in dangerous levels of plaque in their arteries. They were in dangerous levels of plaque leading to the arteries to the brain. But after they made a decision to eat for their blood type, to put more fruits and vegetables, to incorporate the right product, they were able to get into the green, okay? And so if you want to know your standings, where you're at, this comprehensive test will test your omega-3 levels. Your gut is going to check your vitamins and minerals, because know that sometimes we inherit deficiencies. And some of the most dangerous deficiencies that we inherit are things like methylfolate, right? Things like B6, things like B12. And unfortunately, those vitamins, when we're deficient, it can cause many of the problems that we don't understand why we're having them. So if you're dealing with arthritis, okay, if you're dealing with, chronic medical issues, chances are you're not only toxic, but you're deficient. And if you fix both of those, imagine seeing some of those issues go away. And then we also check your heart, your liver, and your kidneys. So you have a chance to see your report. Now, many people tell us that's priceless. They would be willing to spend thousands of dollars. So this represents a $1,000 value. But what I will share with you is we are a company focused on helping people to afford what we're offering. And so we do this for just $189. So you can link up in a state in which we have approved corporate scanners. That list will be available to you upon making this purchase. You'll see exactly where you need to go. Maybe you're in New York, where there's already a few in New York. We have a few in California. We have some in Texas, some in Florida, some in Illinois. If you're in a state in which we don't have a corporate scanner, you have a year to get to one of those states to get your test done. Because here's the deal, that 189 is going to be something you're going to want to leverage, because here's the deal. We actually have a way for you to get that whole test when you first sign up for AutoShip, okay? And so if you make a decision that this makes sense for you, you want to do something to impact your family, your community, you can actually spend tonight $109, okay? And when you do that, not only are you going to get your first month supply of your flat belly fuel, that represents in and of itself a $70 value, but you're going to get your blood type test kit. You're going to get your bitters detox, your meal plan, a family digital download. But in addition to that, we're going to give you access to going ahead and getting your scan done so that you can see where your omega levels are and all the other areas in your body. And not only are we going to give you the first scan, but you have 120 days later where you can get a second scan so that you can see the before and after. So that really is a priceless value because it's worth thousands of dollars, but you get that all when you decide to enroll for AutoShip and do the 109 bundle that also includes the comprehensive test, okay? So there are additional products we offer, everything from CBD to skincare to hair care to weight loss to essential oils, but everything's about timing, guys. We know that it's estimated that 1% to 5% of Americans who are aware of their blood type may have experimented with or follow the blood type diet principles to some extent. And that just means we're at the right place at the right time. And so if you're a business-minded person, you might want to hang on. Our goal is to help 1.5% of the United States over the next 18 months learn their blood type. And so what I want to do right now, though, is I want to bring up a few testimonials so you can hear from from different perspectives, right? You saw some of the pictures, so clearly, I mean, the products are extraordinary. You can go on YouTube and you can see thousands and thousands of different, stories and testimonials. I mean, go to our Google review and see all the 5-star reviews. But I want to go ahead and bring up first, we're going to represent our B Blood tribe, okay? We have Nakisha on the line, who was referred to us by Willie Mooney. He's currently having dinner, but I know he's on listening and rooting you on, Nakisha. And so I'm going to go ahead and put a little note so that you can unmute yourself because we want to hear from you and exactly what this has done to impact your life and your family, okay? So I've just asked you to unmute so you can just hit the microphone whenever you're ready.
All right. Hi, I'm Nakisha and Melissa. I think actually I'm on Kayetta's team.
Oh, hi. Oh, yes. How you doing? Yes. Yes. I had to connect the dots, but I know who you are. Yes.
No worries at all. But yeah, Kayetta introduced myself and my mom to the Flat Belly program. It was a 7-day cleanse program, actually at her birthday event. And we started the program a week ago today. Today was the first day that I've been off of the program, and it was absolutely amazing. I was a little skeptical and afraid at first as to what to expect, but all in all, I've lost about 3 pounds. I'm already kind of a thin girl, so I lost about 3 pounds, 2 inches on my waist, and just the feeling, the lightness that I feel and the inspiration that I feel to continue this journey is just amazing. With the support of Kayetta, my mom lost 13 pounds, and I think Kayetta lost 9 pounds on the journey. So it's been really amazing. And then Minister Mooney, who coached us through this process, was also amazing. Had it not been for the support group and Minister Mooney encouraging us and giving us all of the information that we need, it would have been a lot more challenging for me. But I'm super excited to continue my journey because it doesn't stop with the cleanse. Now it's on to living my A lifestyle. A positive in the house.
I was going to say that too. I think you're an A, right? So we just represent A's. I love it. But go ahead.
No, I was just saying A positive in the house.
I love it. Yeah. That's fabulous, Nakisha. I love that. And your mom, the results she's had, I mean, and she's an AB, right? Your mom is AB blood.
Yes, my mom's an AB.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And you just learned your blood type, right, when you were at the event?
Yeah, I did not know my blood type. I had never heard of the concept before. So I was super appreciative of you guys presenting that information, especially in the way that you did. That kind of broke it down so that layman people like me can understand how it will ultimately impact my life long term. So I think, I'm on to add another 20, 30 years to my life.
I love it. I love it. We had so much fun that night. I remember it was at a birthday celebration for Kayetta, and with your sister, your mom, and I believe your sister's a B. So you're an A, your sister's a B, your mom's the A B. You
Mhm.
represent the whole gamut.
Yep.
I love it. Well, thank you, Nikisha. We so appreciate you. We look forward to hearing more success from you and your family. But that was amazing. So God bless you.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So give it up for Nikisha, ladies and gentlemen. We just heard from the A tribe. So now we're going to move to the AB tribe. I know we have Kayetta on the line. I know Kayetta, you are smiling from ear to ear because you had a fabulous 50 party. You turned 50 and were able to do it in such first class with family and friends, and just the impact you made that evening with so many of your family and friends coming on board, getting their cleanses, learning their blood type. So can you just share as an AB what your experience has been?
Absolutely. It has just been transformational. That's the word I want to use, transformational. And Nikisha is so right about everything that she said. And I think what I was so blessed by was to be able to do the cleanse with people I love and care about. We grew up together. We have a long history. We're family. We're like family. So it was such a blessing to be there to see everyone, just about everyone, find out their blood type. But this cleanse was just absolutely transformational. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about food. I did lose. Not, I actually have one more day to go, but so far I've lost 9 pounds, at least 4 inches. I was able to wear some pants brand new pants that I've had for years, couldn't wear because I couldn't get them over my thigh and my belly, and I was able to get them not just over my hips, not just buttoned up. It wasn't even bulging. My stomach wasn't even bulging over. I wore the pants confidently, and I felt amazing, full of energy. It's just amazing. Normally, I wake up every morning with mucus and phlegm in my throat, and it was none of that. Also, Keisha forgot one of the good testimonies, great testimonies, is she was taking um, uh, allergy pills every other day. She didn't have to take any while she was on the cleanse. I deal with sinus issues and all that. I didn't have any of that while I was on the cleanse. And most people I hear say, oh, the raw diet, they're like, oh, it was disgusting. And it was this. It was not at all. We had fun with it. And the coaching support was top notch. Like she said, it's one thing to try to do it on your own, but doing it together, that small community is definitely next level. But the coaching, the check-in, how you doing, just checking in and seeing how we're doing with this was just phenomenal. And as we were going through the journey, some of the things that we experienced, he let us know, well, that's normal. Your body is doing this. Your body is getting, and so it was just phenomenal. I just encourage everyone to at least do that 7-day cleanse and do that meal replacement, um, period. Like, just make that a standard of life, because it can do you no harm, only greatness to come. And I am an AB, absolute balance is what I've coined us to be. And I'm excited about that, and make change in lives, starting with my family and friends. Back to you.
Wow, 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 wow. Well, you guys are just absolutely amazing. So thank you so much. And I know, Kayada, as you're talking, there's another AB on the line. So we'll kind of do it a little different. We won't go through every blood type, but I know Tyrone, if you can unmute as well, I believe you're out there and hopefully you're able to unmute. But I know Tyrone is a principal. He's an AB blood and was able to do the cleanse and has pretty extraordinary results as it relates to his outcome. And so, Tyrone, if you can unmute yourself, we would love to hear your update as you continue to represent they're the smallest group, but you guys are showing up and showing out tonight for sure. Because I see Bernadine out there too. She's an AB as well. So if you can't unmute Tyrone, just hit your microphone. We'll keep it moving if you can't, but definitely would like to get some guys on the line too, because we always want to hear what's going on with the men. Let's see, maybe he can't unmute. Looks like he might not be able to unmute. And Muni, if you want to unmute and maybe share his story, we'll let you do that as well. But I know you're out at a restaurant, so you might not be able to talk. I'll give it a second before we move on. Okay, so it looks like we won't be representing. Oh,
Hey, Melissa.
There you go, Mooney. Go ahead.
Hey, you know what? I am leaving out of the restaurant, but let me tell you, I'm super happy for the ladies that just spoke. Um, the coaching experience was amazing because they were just amazing. They were very coachable. And you and I both had the opportunity to meet Kayada's whole crew, so to actually meet her daughter, her friends, her business partners. And I mean, it was packed with, wow, there wasn't an old blood type in the building that night. And it was a packed house. So I just wanted to share with the ladies and share with everybody who's here, like, one, congratulations. You know what it feels like to do a 7-day, right? Or do the Bitters Challenge. So bringing it back home, if you know of somebody that's out there, I'm always willing to compel people on what to do next. Start. We're going into a whole new season. We're approaching, a new year. It's never too late to start and to see that everybody from the mom to her daughters to friends and family do it all together. That's what we're all about. And I always just want to give you shout outs, Melissa, for just setting us up for the win all the time. So back to you, Melissa.
Wow, 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 wow. Well, this is exciting. And you know what? I never thought about it, but you're right. That night she had 9 guests and they were all A's, B's, ABs, right? So that was pretty amazing in and of itself, because we know you guys are the biggest part of the population, but it also shows you the A's, the B's, and the ABs. We need the help, we need the support, and we need to make sure we're adhering to these blood type principles, because it impacts us in such a huge, huge way. So with that being said, I mean, I can't say any more as it relates to the products. I mean, you just heard it from our Diamond Mooney. I mean, this is a gentleman who's had so much documented success. As you can see, he's also coaching others to success. And so make sure you give it up for Mooney, you give it up for Kayada and Nakisha, because they were absolutely amazing. Next week, we'll hear from our B's and our O's, since today it seems like it was the A's. Well, you're a B, so next week it'll be all about the O's, okay? Since we heard from everybody but the O's. And so what I want to do real quick, for those who want to put your business cap on, right before we get into the training, I want to also share with you the financial impact, okay? So if you're on the line right now, perhaps you've been struggling in this economy and you're wondering, what's your next break? What's your next breakthrough? When we go out and impact 1.5% of this population, that's going to mean we've impacted over 5 million people, okay? And so when you think about that as it relates to sales, let's just say every person purchases the minimum, that still equals $250 million in sales, okay? That's 250 million. And if only 10% of them adhere to the auto ship, right? Our auto ship is the product that's the flat belly fuel. There's other products you can auto ship as well, but let's say you start there, and that's a product that auto ships for $59 a month. So they save $10, but that would equal over $3 million in sales per month. And let's just say 80% of the people reject you, we are still impacting over 1 million people. And let's look now at what Harvard School of Business tells us. They tell us that the first 100,000 to 150,000 people involved in a business will earn up to 80% of the wealth of a company. And so there's something called the Bell's curve, right? It's the S curve in business, and that's what's used to predict success in business. And it's also used to predict when you should join a business. Unfortunately, most people wait until a company is well known, whether it's the phenomenal companies like Herbalife and Amway, right? Once they're doing, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, where everybody knows, and you join those, that's great, but that's not momentum. That's not really where you build wealth. It's kind of like when you buy stock. You don't want to wait until the stock has hit its cap to buy it. You want to catch it at the beginning. And so this is kind of like being at Amazon in the early days, okay? The pioneering stages. And so when we look at Harvard School of Business, what they tell us is select a company that's at least 18 months old. 90% of companies will fail their first 18 months in business, okay? But not only that, that's 90%, but there's 98% that end up failing their first 5 years. We're already past the 5-year mark. And so according to Harvard Business School, if a company has less than 500,000 people, it is a great opportunity. If less than 100,000 people, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. This truly is an opportunity of a lifetime. And so what we want you to do is get back with the person who invited you. If there's questions, get those questions answered. But I want to identify 3 types of people that I know are on the line tonight. There's that one person that says, hey, thanks, but no thanks. Perhaps you see the products and maybe you want a blood type starter kit. Maybe you want to get started with the bitters, learn your blood type. So if you're more here to be a customer and to support us in that realm, you're what we call a person number 1. And I want you to remember that number. The next person is the person that's on the line, but you have questions. We piqued your interest, but you have a lot of questions, okay? And so if that's you, that's fine. We love questions. You're what we call a person number 2. The final person was like I was, okay? I've been fortunate and blessed to catch several major market shifts. One of the things I know in business, it's all about positioning and it's about timing. And you can literally smell it, right? When a company is about to go vertical, when they've caught an opportunity of a lifetime, and this truly is an opportunity of a lifetime. If you recognize that, and if you want to get positioned, you're what we call a person number 3, and we want you to remember that number. And so what we want you to do is get back with the person who invited you, let them know, are you a person 1, 2, or 3?